Nain Jaune, the game of Nain Jaune or Yellow Dwarf French, Le Jeu du Nain Jaune pronounced Nizan, also formerly called Lindor, is an attractive and unique traditional French card game using a board comprising 5 compartments or boxes. It is a reasoned game of chance because it combines the hazards of card distribution with the strategy of building suit. Nain Jaune, which is considered a classic French game, is named after the seven of diamonds, which is depicted as a yellow dwarf French Nain Jaune in the center of the game board. Nain Jaune first emerged in the mid-18th century as one of the hocs group of games and is still a popular French family game today. Its rules are simple. The number of players is variable 3 to 8 players and the game is suitable for old and young alike. It has been described as a family game par excellence. History. The name goes back to a fairy tale by French noblewoman Baroness d'Aulnoy, published in 1698. Le Nain Jaune, the Yellow Dwarf, is a cruel story about an ugly, jealous, and evil villain. The game of Nain Jaune first appeared around 1760 in the French region of Lorraine under the name of Jeu du Nain Dwarf or Jeu du Nain Baby Dwarf. This name referred to Nicholas Very, nicknamed Baby, a dwarf protected by Stanislaus of Poland, Duke of Lorraine. It is related that Fairy became violent and cruel as he grew older and earned the nickname of the Yellow Dwarf after the villain in the fairy tale. The rules, first published in Coureur in 1760, used the same general concept and layout as the modern game, but its rules varied in a number of points. The game spread throughout Europe and became popular until the French Revolution. At that time, in 1789, a French games compendium published rules for Nain Jaune, now also called Lindor, that were significantly different. These new, simpler rules have persisted until the present day. Around 1850, the famous General Tom Thumb attraction of the Barnum Circus revived interest in dwarves and at the same time interest in the game. The game fell into oblivion again after the days of the Second French Empire 1852-1870, but returned to fashion during the interwar years. It has since become a classic French board game. Gaming material. Nain Jaune or Yellow Dwarf requires the following: a standard 52-card French pack, a game board with 5 compartments, often removable, or boxes representing, at the 4 corners, the 10, the J, the Q, and the K, and in the center, the 7 or Nain Jaune Yellow Dwarf. Jetons and slash or fishes that can be of different colors, shapes and values 1, 5, and 10 points, for example, equally distributed among the players at the beginning of the game to the value of 5,120 points each. Nain Jaune or Yellow Dwarf original rules. The earliest rules for a game called Nain Jaune were published in 2 issues of Coureur in 1760. Overview. Overview. Yellow Dwarf is a shedding game in which the aim is to be first to get rid of all your cards. The 1760 version was played by 3 or 5 players using a full French suited pack and 5 additional cards, the K, Q, J, 10, and 7 or Nain, the dwarf, which were placed face up on the table as a staking tableau. These are the 5 honors bells cards. Cards. Card are built in suit sequence, unlike modern Nain Jaune in which suits are irrelevant. Within each suit, cards rank in their natural order, from lowest to highest, 1 to king. Certain cards were stops, i.e. they stop the sequence, and are known as hocs. The 3 permanent hocs are the Q, the J, and the 10. The chief hoc principle was the dwarf, the 7, and the 4 kings were end of run hocs de fin de suite. Dealing and play. Dealing and play are anti-clockwise. If 3 play, dealer deals 15 cards, individually, to each. If 5 play, 9 cards are dealt to each player. The remaining 7 cards are placed face down to one side as a talon and are not used during the deal. Any card in the talon can act, in effect, as a stop or incidental hoc accidental, preventing sequences from being completed. Eldest hand plays a card to the table to start the first run, calling out its name, e.g. 1, and may follow it by laying off the next higher card of the same suit if they have it, e.g. 2. A player may keep on adding cards until unable to continue the sequence, e.g. 3, 4, and without sans 5. A player does not have to start with the lowest card. In turn, the other players continue to lay off as many cards as they can to the same suit sequence, or say pass if unable. When a king is played to complete the run, the player calls hoc and may begin a new sequence with a card of any rank and suit. Equally, if no player can continue a sequence because the wanted card is in the talon, the player of the last highest card in the existing sequence calls hoc and may start another sequence. The player of a permanent hoc does the same. If a player has the chief hoc, it is wild and may therefore be played at any time. Equally, it does not have to be played even if it is the next in sequence. Scoring. Dealer antes 15 chips to the board as follows: 1 on the 10, 2 on the J, 3 on the Q, 4 on the K, and 5 on the 7. During the game, a player playing a hoc, i.e. a king or an honor, and announcing it receives 1 chip from each of the other players. A player playing an honor and announcing it wins the contents of the corresponding box as well. A player who forgets to announce a hoc forfeits the stake that would have been won, and it remains in situ. The winner is the first player to go out having shed all his or her cards. The remaining players tot up their card points, courts being worth 10, aces 1, and all other cards scoring their face value. The winner is paid by each player the number of chips corresponding to the card points of cards left in his or her hand. A player still holding the 7 at the end pays double. A player still holding an honor is bitten and has to double the stake in the corresponding box. If the winner managed to shed all cards without any of the other players being able to play at least one, this is an opera, and the losers pay double. Because only the dealer pays an ante, a game comprises a fixed number of rounds, typically 10 5 players or 12 3 players. Lindor, Nain Jaune, or Yellow Dwarf modern rules. The following rules were first published in 1789 under the name of Lindor or Nain Jaune and are still used today. They are also summarized on the website of the Academy of Forgotten Games, Académie des Jeux Oubliés. Overview. Overview. Preliminaries. At the beginning of the game, each player is given the same number of chips jettins, e.g. 5 10-point chips, 10 5-point chips, and 21-point chips each. Then the board is dressed in that each player places chips in the boxes on the board as follows: 1 chip on the 10, 2 chips on the J, 3 on the Q, 4 on the K, and 5 on the 7 or Yellow Dwarf. If there are any chips left from the previous round, they are kept and added to the new stakes. The first dealer is chosen by lot. The dealer shuffles the cards, offers them to the left to be cut, and then deals to the right, in threes, a number of cards dependent on the number of players as shown in the table below. Gameplay. Gameplay, 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 gameplay. The game is played clockwise, so eldest hand, the player to the left of the dealer, starts. Eldest puts down any card of his choice, calling out its value, e.g. 5, and continues with the next cards in sequence if able, e.g. 6, 7, 8, regardless of suit. When a player stops, he or she announces no, or without, sans, and sans, 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 sans. For example, to stop at 9, a player announces no 10, sans dix. The next player to the left continues the sequence if possible, and if desired, and so on. If none of the players can complete the sequence, the player who has stopped starts a new sequence with any card. When a player plays a king, that player starts a new sequence with any card held. A player placing one of the cards represented on the board, for example the Q, announces the queen, who sweeps Dame qui prend and sweeps up the chips in the box corresponding to the card. If a player forgets to announce this, the stake is lost and stays in place for the next game. A player still holding one of the honor cards at the end of the game pays a bite to the board that matches what is in the box for that card. The winner of the round is the player who is first to get rid of all his cards. The winner draws from each other player either as many chips as that player has points left in his or her hand. Each court card is worth 10, the rest count at face value. In counting points, the cards are worth their face value. Courts are worth 10 points each and aces score 1 point each. A player who gets rid of all his cards at once when on lead for the first time makes an opera or grand opera and, in addition to the payments from the other players, sweeps the board. When the deal has been settled, the board is redressed for the next deal and the player to the right of the last dealer becomes the new dealer. Ending. The game is over when a player is ruined and can no longer place 15 chips at the beginning of the round. Players may also choose a number of game turns or a game time. The winner is then the one with the most chips. Footnotes. Literature. 1760 11 Coureur, 27 October 1760, issue 41, and 3 November 1760, issue 42. De Lambert ab Bossut, de la Land Marquis de Condorcet, Charles, etc., 1789. Encyclopédie méthodique ou par ordre de matières, Mathematiques. Paris Pankouk. Lacombe, Jacques, 1792. Dictionnaire des Jeux. Pankouk, Paris.